First off, guys, absolutely love the film.
Thank
you
you
all
so
did
much.
fantastic jobs.
Thank you so much.
First question, what kind of experience with comic books did you guys have before getting these roles?
If I'm honest, I didn't have a massive sort of comic book background when it came to Spider-Man, but I loved the cartoons and the films. That's where my kind of fan base grew. But when I was auditioning for the film, I downloaded that Marvel app that you can, it's like a subscription and you get access to all of the Marvel comics. And I just started plowing through all the Spider-Man comics. And I kind of was angry at my parents. I was like, where were these when I was a kid? I would love to have read these. My parents were like, that's probably a lie. He's never read anything in his life.
Well, I actually read it for like research as well, but it wasn't really like.
I was in comics.
It was really just like the cartoons and then like the first
love
movies
the
out there, and
cartoons,
then so.
Which cartoon was your favorite then?
What was the?
I like
it was the '90s one.
Spider-Man, yeah.
The '90s one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not going to sing the theme tune, but I like the one.
Oh no, I would love to hear it.
Yeah, I would too.
Anybody got a cell phone? We can look it up.
That's hilarious.
What was your guys' favorite scenes in the movie?
Ooh, some of my
to
favorite
shoot?
scenes.
Or like that turned out.
I'd say
That
turned out.
Can we speak on these? As
Because to shoot is also a whole thing. Like the favorite thing to actually do is to something different than the way you've seen.
I really enjoy the scene on the bus.
That's a good one.
That's a really good fun one.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many bus parts. I feel.
I mean.
No, but you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's obviously one part of the bus that can come on.
I'm talking about the one with me, and this one
Right,
I want you to assume.
Okay.
Okay, well, with what you said, which was your favorite to film?
I mean, I have a few different favorites, but one of them was, I always feel bad saying it because he wasn't there that day, but it was the day me, Jacob, and Gowry, and Tony, and Mr. Favreau got to be there.
Our own little stunt scene.
Yeah, our little stunt scene, you know. It was just because we rarely get to do, be a part of anything exciting.
Yeah, because acting in a Spider-Man movie is not exciting.
No, but I mean,
I'm kidding.
You know, we're at the school, you know.
Like, I wouldn't mind seeing more explosions.
Yeah, we get to have explosions and stuff and be part of the action. So those days were fun because it felt pretty bad.
Yeah, I went to visit them on set when they were shooting that sequence. I was like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And they were like, "It's better without you."
We're having so much fun.
We were just so obnoxious about it.
Yeah, we were.
Well,
we came up with a handshake.
They
we had all
did.
these inside jokes.
I was also fighting Hydro Man at the time, which was the longest action sequence to shoot in the movie, which basically meant I was soaking wet for weeks on end, which my costumer had so much fun just spraying me in between each take. And he'd be like, "I promised you I warmed up the water." No.
Was it the same dirty pool water though?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think so.
You know when they dumped that was just terrible.
It was really bad.
Like, why?
Yeah. Sorry, we got a bit sidetracked.
No worries. So since this film was being filmed while Endgame was before, how hard was it keeping those secrets of?
It wasn't super hard at some points because some things we still didn't know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our scripts were blacked out, so in order to read a full script, you have to go into the offices and all that kind of stuff. But thankfully, we actually have each other to talk about it with, and we were. So when you want to tell your best friends about what's going on in your life, you can just talk to these guys and not get in trouble for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
To the
The thing that was tricky was actually because obviously we're filming in such public locations, and there are so many hints to the fact that this film was a direct continuation to Endgame. What was tricky was filming on the world stage, but not giving away that this wasn't a sequel to Endgame, because we were trying to let on that this was a prequel. And that's why the first trailer, when that came out, it doesn't really give away the time of the film. So that was quite tricky to keep a secret while shooting. Sorry, I just cut you.
So excluding the Spider-Man films, what would be your favorite MCU films?
I like Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I really think that's my favorite one. I think it's so fun.
And the first Iron Man's.
I'd say Iron Man 1, Thor Ragnarok, and Avengers Endgame. Okay. Those are my top.
I think that's
three.
solid.
Yeah.
That's very solid.
I like
I also put Black Panther in there.
like all of them.
You like all of them?
All of them. 1 to the
1
last
to
one.
32.
23? 23?
I don't know how many there are. I'm sure there's How many films are there?
There's way too many to keep count at this point.
I'm not going to do that because that will take up all the time.
Okay, so since there have been many different spider suits,
Yes.
which would be your guys' favorites, and which was your favorite to wear?
Okay, that's interesting. What was your favorite?
The metal cool one.
The Iron Spider suit?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that looks like it could you turn into like a transformer kind of.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's true.
I really found the stealth suit to be dope.
Yeah, the stealth suit's really cool.
It's nice. We've never seen Spider-Man in that kind of version of a look before.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Captain America suit.
Yeah.
It was fun to wear as well.
Anyway.
What if that one has like hidden missiles in it?
The spider suit?
The stealth one.
It doesn't.
Oh.
Well,
What if it did?
but I also like, from the first one, kind of like the pajama.
Yeah, that's my
sweatpant
favorite one.
thing,
I love that because it's so like, as much as I love the previous
It's the most
movies, the idea that Peter Parker made those suits, having known the time and effort and the craftsmanship that goes into actually making these costumes, the idea that Peter Parker made in his bedroom is a little crazy. I love the fact that his suit that he built himself is just a cut up hoodie and some pajama bottoms and
Socks.
No, it was
Like high socks.
No, it was beach shoes. I had like long red socks and then like wetsuit booties over the top. I just think that was very, very realistic.
In the PS4
Water
game,
shoes?
in the PS4 game, there's actually one where you're just like in your boxers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Much just in his boxers.
Do you play as that one?
Yeah, all the time. But you die easily because
Really?
Yeah, because it doesn't
You don't
protect
have
you.
any
There's nothing to protect you.
protection,
Oh man.
Yeah.
Or any special
Yeah, so it's basically like, if you're a badass, you go naked, basically.
underwear.
Maybe that's what we should do in Spider-Man 3. We should do naked Spider-Man.
I think many people would appreciate that, for sure.
I myself.
Would we? Would we?
What kind of experience with comic books did you have before coming into the Spider-Man films?
I would say I'm not gonna pretend like I was a huge comics kid growing up. I had a very particular relationship with Spider-Man where there was this Marvel, it was like a Marvel like how-to book where it taught you like all the steps to become a comic book artist, like for penciling and inking and coloring and even lettering, and it was supposed to be like a tryout book. I think it was called the Big Marvel Tryout Book. So I just spent like months and months and months drawing these Spider-Man panels because it was a Spider-Man comic that you would finish. And so as a kid, I was like obsessed with just drawing Spider-Man as a result. And then I was mainly into X-Men when I was in high school.
Okay.
So that was the extent. Yeah.
Okay then. Who was your favorite X-Men? Just out of curiosity.
I always liked, for some reason, Nightcrawler. I just thought that was such a cool power, and I loved how he was from like East Germany, right? And I thought that was just such an interesting thing to think about him growing up as a mutant in East Germany.
Okay.
That was just so unique to me.
Yeah, he's a great
It's a
character.
weird one. Yeah, I know. I would love to see like a foreign, like something that feels like a very serious foreign film about just Nightcrawler growing up. It felt like the lives of others or something like that.
That'd be really cool.
We've really gotten off on a tangent here.
I know. Love it. Okay, so since you were super into Spider-Man, what was it like when they asked you to direct for the Spider-Man films?
I couldn't believe it. Like, I really didn't think I was going to get the job at all until I got it. And it was this, I got the phone calls in New York and I was in a cab and I was going to the airport and they were like, make sure no one knows because it's a secret until we announce it. So I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want the cab driver to hear it just in case, because I was being paranoid. And I got the good news from Kevin, and the cab just felt like it kept going faster and faster and was like swerving through traffic and honking, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm gonna get the best news of my life and then die. So I didn't. So
I'm glad you didn't.
I don't think.
Bright lights, I mean,
Yeah,
who knows,
I know,
right?
wait a second.
What was your favorite scene from the movie?
I don't know, there's so many great scenes that I can't really talk about because they're all spoilers, but there's I don't know, there's a lot. There's something, I really love just the scene on the bridge between Peter and MJ. Just they're so great together, and they have this undeniable chemistry, and they're so awkward, and yeah, those stand out to me.
Okay. And then excluding the film, during the filming, what was your most memorable experience from the whole thing, would you say?
That wasn't shooting?
Yeah.
I felt like all I was doing was shooting. There was a funny thing when we were shooting that I always just think about. When we were shooting one of the scenes with Peter and MJ on the Charles Bridge in Prague, like there had been some like big soccer match that night, and there was some like really rowdy drunk fans just yelling at us the whole like so far away, but just like ruining takes by like chanting. I thought that was pretty funny.
Where was your favorite location that you guys filmed at, would you say?
Venice.
Venice?
Yeah, I was really nervous about Venice because of the logistics of boats and water and all of that, but it ended up being one of the smoothest shoots, one of the smoothest parts of the shoot, and also it's just so beautiful. Everywhere you point the camera looks great, so it makes my job easy.
If you could change anything from the film, well, what would you change?
Well, nothing, of course.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had my time to change things in the film. That's when we were editing. Now it's done.
And you're super happy with the result?
I'm pretty happy. I mean,
I know
you
I
liked
am.
it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic.
It's not really done until the audience sees it, so that means a lot to me.
Okay, what kind of small details would you say, or are there many small details in the scenes that people, when they go see it for the first time, may not notice or may not?
Yeah, there's a lot,
Yeah.
actually. And by the time you get to the end of the movie and you know everything that, you know all the twists and turns that the story's gonna take, you can watch it again and find a lot of things that you would have never noticed the first time through.
Okay. Which actor do you think you enjoyed working with, or multiple actors?
Who did I like the best?
Easier experience, yeah.
No, I'm very fortunate in that everyone on this movie was great, and I had a great time working with everyone. So yeah, it's like, you know, can't really pick a favorite. I mean, obviously Tom and I have a great relationship now after doing 2 films together, so we have a really kind of funny shorthand together, but no, it was a great cast. I had a really good time.
Sweet. And last question, what would you say are the differences between directing a superhero film versus normal films?
I mean, you have a lot more capes and lasers for sure than you do normally, but I don't think about them as being different, you know. It's all just sort of stories about characters that hopefully you can relate to, and I try to not separate the two and just think about, you know, stories about people.
Do you have any advice you would want to give to anyone that was looking into getting into directing?
Just make stuff. All you have to do is make things. Like, don't wait for someone to give you permission. Just go out and make something that you would want to see.
It's gotta be the weirdest kind of junket situation. How you guys deal with that?
Yeah.
With what?
Not being able to ask us the real questions you want to ask us, and trying to keep us general so that you don't get disinvited to the next Marvel.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I ask cryptic ones so you can answer without spoiling.
Oh, we have to answer with crypticism?
Exactly.
Crypticism.
Okay.
Okay, so first question for both of you. What kind of comics experience did you have before coming into these roles?
Like with comic books?
Yes, with comic books or comic superheroes, anything like that.
Well, I don't know.
Are you that person? I was a comic book kid.
Okay.
So I've been reading comic books since I was small. So I started with, you know, Archie, Betty, and Veronica.
Yes.
You know, Kid Colt. And when Superman was always Superman, that was always the constant. Superman, Batman. And all of a sudden, we started getting things like The Flash, Silver Surfer, you know, different superheroes coming through, you know, Marvel and DC and wherever else. And then I graduated after that into graphic novels. You know, I remember reading The Crow, saying, "Wow, this will make a great movie," and then they made a movie. So all those things. I still go to the comic book store. I go to Golden Apple once a month when I'm at home, and when I'm on location, I just go back by the store. They have a box they keep comics in for me when I come back.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's cool. I started with Bazooka Bubblegum. And then I went into Archie. And I didn't really get as much into. There were the classic comics that I would read every once in a while, but I didn't. And then I actually have gone very much into graphic novels. There's some incredible authors now that I just think are incredible. I just have blown my mind. So, but in terms of the Marvel Universe, I'm sort of, as I am in a lot of things, a little bit more into strange obscurity. And I don't know enough about it, but I'm starting to learn a little bit more about it. But I've always been a fan of comics.
Three Tales from the Crypt?
Yes.
Okay, well, since both of you have read stuff, what would you suggest for someone? Out of all the comics that you have read, what would you
These
suggest
days?
the most?
Oh, well, let me see. These days, there's a really good graphic novel series called Southern Bastards that's like awesome. There was another group about a year, 2 years ago, a series of graphic novels titled Scalped, which is about these guys on a reservation that run a casino and stuff. And then there's a really cool one called 100 Bullets, which is a series that a guy comes to. It's kind of like The Millionaire, except this guy gives you a briefcase that's got 100 bullets in it and a gun, and you can do anything with those 100 bullets and not be prosecuted for it.
Oh.
That sounds really cool.
Awesome.
That sounds
like it,
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say graphic novels, I think there's an amazing series called March, which is beautiful, and it's about like the civil rights movement. That's an amazing one that I've seen. Alton Bechtel does these amazing graphic novels, one called Fun Home, and the other one called Are You My Mother, which is an amazing, about her family. It's really incredible, pretty emotional actually, which I was surprised by. So I'd recommend those. But they're like not your typical like superhero stuff and like action. They're much more like character-based things, but they're all character-based in a lot of ways. But those I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so with Spider-Man, what was your guys' favorite scenes from the movie?
Well, I read the script, and sometimes you can read a script and it doesn't quite coalesce in your mind in that way. So when I finally saw the film, it was really great to see exactly what Mysterio actually is and what he thinks and how he expresses himself. And as I said to Jake and some other people earlier, now that we don't have Tony Stark, we need a new orator, and he's it. It's like, oh, well, tell us about it. And he does. It's kind of really cool to hear it, and it's good stuff.
It was complicated stuff. But my favorite scene, God, I can't give any. I mean, there's so many great scenes in this movie, and my favorite ones give way too much away. But I will say,
I'll just say showing up first. My showing up scene, because now I'm part of the Marvel universe.
well, I mean, yeah,
I was
okay,
there
that's
for
right.
that, so
I'll take
that's
that,
like
yeah.
kind of
Actually, I will say it was really cool because you do just enter into the world in this way that, particularly in the case of Mysterio, the first scene, it's in the trailer when I land on the Earth, that this Earth was intimidating, to say the least, and confusing, to say the least, too. And I was the first time I ever put the suit on and put it on camera. So just to shoot, that was pretty. And Sam was right across.
And me and Hill were there, so it's kind of like,
yeah,
hey.
it was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
So you've been in so many Marvel movies now.
Nah, just 12.
Okay.
Not too many then. How would you say the Marvel movies as a whole have evolved during that time?
I think there's a bit of clarity of storytelling in terms of who the people are that inhabit the stories and how their personal journey enters into each and every story, so that the set pieces and the bigger pieces become a lot more personal for audiences watching them, because they know the personal stake of people doing them. They're not just doing it because they're heroic. They know that there's a reason. There are different feelings among the people that are doing them, so they're doing things for different reasons, or trying to prove things to themselves or to each other in the midst of all that. So I think that everybody has a chance to attach to a particular character that feels right for them. They personalized all these different people so that different audience members coming in can, run with the one they want to.
And being the newest member to the MCU, how was the entire experience for you?
I mean, it was an honor. It was an honor not just because of the characters themselves, but also because of the actors who played these characters. I admire pretty much every single one of them, and I think they're all great in their own right, outside of the actual characters. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to be amongst that, ensemble of people and artists that you really admire. But at the same time, there's a lot of pressure in that space, and I think there are a lot of expectations, particularly because it's the end of what's going to happen after Endgame, who are the new characters that are coming in, what's going to happen, where are we going, and I could feel that. I could definitely feel that pressure, and I could feel that pressure once people knew, because everybody kind of. What's cool, the coolest thing I would say about working on a Marvel movie is that when you are, for instance, you're giving a speech or something, the crew and a lot of people on the set will ask for earplugs to plug their ears so that they don't hear spoilers because they can't wait for the next movie and they don't want it to be ruined. So I could feel that pressure, I was like, why is everybody asking for earplugs? They're like, they don't want to know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was like, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Pretty respectful of the process.
Yeah.